Welcome to the B-Sides and Beers podcast.
Welcome to B-Sides and Beers, episode 28. Tonight we are visiting Crannog Ales from Sorrento, BC. Our guest tonight is Brian Maciassac. He is the founder, or one of the founders of Crannog Ales. How are we doing tonight?
Yeah, it's good. It's good to see you guys.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for coming out.
Good to
Right on.
Yeah, nice to have you on here.
So we usually start this off with we crack some beers and we just talk about what we're drinking.
Okay, well, I don't have one in front of me, but I was drinking earlier a sauté called Helveti Kaila, which means hell yeah in Finnish.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
Wow.
And what is that? Tell us what that beer is all about.
Well, I describe it as a woody lemonade, but without the sour portion. And it's basically made with barley, rye, brown sugar, and juniper branches.
Okay.
Yeah,
Nice.
So it's a kind of a Finnish farm ale style.
Wow. I've never heard of that before. I've never even heard of that kind of style before, and I didn't even know what was in that either. So that's pretty cool. Yeah.
We'll order it up for the salmon on market freeze. So
Yeah, sounds fantastic. And what's that called again? Sorry, can you say that again?
Helveti Kaila
Yeah.
is the name of it, and it's the style is called Sati, S-A T-H-I.
Nice.
Really interesting. I haven't really heard of many Finnish beers before. Is this a common one or?
It's the national drink of Finland, I would say. So it's
Okay.
It's well known there, but maybe not on this side of the water. I think that people, when they do commercialize it, they kind of screw it up. Like many things, like when it gets to be too big, it stops being as humble of a drink that it's supposed to be.
Fair enough. And I read through your essentially the ethos of your company, and that's basically what you guys stand by, right? Just keep it within the footprint of the farm, and it doesn't need to get much bigger than that, eh?
Yeah, we're likable fanatics, I would say.
Right on.
That's awesome.
Yeah, if you want me to go on about anything that some of our ethos that are happening within the philosophies and things, like one of the things we do is make sure that when people say, I want to come for a tasting, and it says, no, you gotta weed through our propaganda first before you get a taste of our stuff. So we just fire off a bunch of mind-boggling kind of notions from them.
Yeah. Take them in the room and make their eyeballs stay open and show them, Crannog Ale pictures, tie them down to the chair. Then you can taste.
Make them help you in the gardens and the...
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right on. Should we do the rounds?
Okay.
Mike, what are you drinking there?
Go ahead, Mike.
Which one?
Mike T, what are you drinking?
Mike T, what you drinking?
I have a Thirsty Beaver Amber Ale from Tree Brewing Co. out of Kelowna, BC.
Nice. It kind of a classic.
Yeah, simple 5%, tall boy. Yeah, it's solid. I visited their brewery once a couple years back, and it's well, maybe it wasn't directly it seemed like a pretty small operation when I went there, but yeah, it was really cool. So
That was when we went and saw Big Wreck. That's the last time I've been in that place.
that was when we went. Okay,
Yeah.
so I've been twice then. So
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, really good stuff.
Yeah. Dane, what do you got?
I've got a Mount Begbie Tall Timber Ale. Yeah, pleasantly surprised. Sort of went off the beaten path with this one. And yeah, it's nice, drinkable, easy. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Nice. I've got a Phillips Tiger Shark. I haven't had that since like last summer, so going with the 4.7% Tiger Shark. Yeah.
Those ones are nice because you can have a couple of them and you're not going to be like sloppy mouthed and falling all over the place.
I'm on number 2 already, so and we're just rounding the corner, so it's all right. At 4.7, it's not going to be too bad, right? So it's not bad. What have you got in your lineup right now, Brian? What's the whole Crannog lineup that you have for sale, and then like, do you have any seasonal things, that kind of stuff? So yeah.
Yep. So the latest one was a saute, but the one that's neck and neck with that right now that we've been putting together is a Pictish Pride, which is a Scottish wee heavy ale that we put together, and we actually smoked the barley with our own cherry wood on the property, and so it's got a really light kind of smoke without being too roushy. It's very drinkable, and it's 8.9%. So it's basically get in your car and just whip around places and, and just hit children and all.
Oh, yeah. That's fantastic.
That sounds enticing, actually.
It's very drinkable. It's pretty dangerous.
Yeah. I bet.
Nice. Okay. What else you got?
Sorry, I'll give you the rest of the rundown.
Yeah, no, it's all good.
So the regular culprits in the lineup there are I've got something called Wild Gales Potato Red Ale, which is made with our own Russian blue potatoes that we grow here, and that's to basically change up the viscosity of that brew, makes it just soaks it out. And then we have the Red Branch Irish Ale, which is a real treat because to have it, it's a good example of the red Irish style, because when it comes over to this side of the water, a lot of people put it together and they put far too much hops in it, and it's the caramel malts are really the star of that show. And then we have an IPA, Insurrection IPA, which is a cross between an old world style ale and a new world style ale. So it's not the cheese grater on the tongue hops kind of action going on. It's very drinkable. The hops presence is there, and we dry hop it with the fresh hops that we have on the property as well. Then we also have something. Actually, the next thing that we're actually going to be brewing probably next week is the Antifa ale. So it's we just changed it up, the spelling of the anti-fascist thing. So that's the LED sensors, because they didn't like the previous thing we called it was the Not for Nazis Nut Brown Ale.
Nazi punks fuck off.
Exactly. Yeah. Don't wear gloves when you punch those guys. You don't want to hurt your hands, right? So, So you know what's interesting. So the reason why you don't bury skinheads as compost, because it's true they're full of shit, but they're toxic. So you don't want to throw that on your farm. And so what else do we have? We have the best stout on the planet, the Backhand of God. It's our secret weapon. Actually, it's not our secret weapon. Everybody knows about it.
Yeah, right. That's one that I would like to dig a little deeper into now. I moved to BC in 2009, and the apartment that I rented when I first moved here was within, a 3-minute stumbling distance from a local pub that had Backhand of God on tap, and that became my nightly drink of choice or keg of choice or whatever the night. If you're there for an hour or you're there for 8 hours, but I always loved. It was always such a different kind of a stout, and it stood out. It stood out amongst any other stout that I've ever had. And one of the most entertaining things about it was anytime you walk into a very loud bar, and you always have people yelling out, their drink orders, and all I had to do was raise a backhand,
There you
and they
go.
knew exactly. Just raise a silent backhand, and they knew that was it. So, I mean, where did that idea come from, and where'd you get the name from, and why is it different than any other stout that I've had?
Well, interesting. Well, the actual name is got a nice little story behind it as well, but it comes from the Gaelic, and it means basically it's an expression to convey a bolt out of the blue or big surprise. And when we went to put together that the name to the LDB, they did not like it. And I think they confused it with the fear of God. Somebody got abused by their parents or something. And they were saying, no, it's an abusive term. And I said, no, it's not. It's an old Gaelic thing. And they says, and so we're going to use that name. And the LDB says, well, we're going to have to do a bit of research on that. So what do they do but phone up all my friends with the Irish pubs in Vancouver? And they knew what was going on. And they got all insulted, and they says, it's not a violent connotation thing. How dare you say that about Irish people? And next thing you're going to be doing is calling us drunks and everything. And so you have a racist attitude there, and all of them had verbatim that kind of thing, right? And then so they were not satisfied with those answers, and so they phoned up the library and asked them for an etymological causation on that, and they said. And so what did the library do but give us a call and ask us for a definition of the backhanded God?
It came full circle.
LDB,
No kidding.
Now we have the name, right? So it's interesting, the backhand too. The guys at the Alibi Room, they weren't ordering it for a while because what was happening is as soon as it got on the menu, no other stouts would get sold until we ran out of the backhand.
Yeah, I can definitely see that.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyways, we had a couple of batches as it made before, and it was we had to call it Black Wolfhound Stout just to get it out the door, because we were sitting on a couple of batches, and we were waiting on the censors at the LDB there to find the graciousness of saying we could use the name of our own beer.
Wow.
That's crazy, because you walk into any liquor store now and some of the names of different types of brews and whatnot, craft beers especially, they're out there. And so was this something that happened recently, or this was, obviously.
When we first, I think it was the third brew in, we were actually able to sell it as the backhand.
Right.
What's the name of the beer that you're drinking right now, Mike?
Which one?
The Kelowna Tree Brewing. What's that one called?
Oh, there you go.
Thirsty Beaver.
Right. So there's right. We're talking about Thirsty Beaver. And you can't let Backhanded God go. Come on.
Yeah, no misogynist notions there.
Yeah. Yeah. So, okay. So is that it for the lineup then, Brian? Is there more?
I think I'm just trying to think about what other things we're putting together.
Yeah.
We have something that we're putting together now too, called the Strongbow's Demise. And it's basically old, in Strongbow's time, like Richard de Clare, the Norman guy who was trying to invade Ireland and ended up getting assimilated himself. Anyways, it was a recipe from that time of a braggot. And so we're using our own honey to put in that beer, and that's a quite thick morass of a beverage.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
And that's coming up.
Yeah, it is. I think that'll be a July thing, because we're all about tipping those notions on their head about people drinking light beers in the summertime. So we say, well, fuck that. We'll put together a big heavy meatball for you.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, absolutely. So
I think the heavy beers are always good year round anyway. So
absolutely, no question.
So I think that's all we got in the can right now. We will be making different ones. Yeah.
That's awesome. I just wanted to ask you, Brian, like, how do you know everything that you know about beer? Where did it kind of all start for you, and where did you learn all of this?
So I did start as a home brewer before, and I was starting in Vancouver is when I was actually staying in East Vancouver, and I was putting that together. But then I was putting together some beers for some potlucks with some chef friends of ours who turned on being some investors of ours. But what had happened was they actually paid a scholarship for me to go down to UC Davis, down to the brewing. There's an apprenticeship program down there.
Nice.
And they have a brewing program down there. So I got my chemistry and everything down there, and I was able to play around with that, and not too heavy into it, just only because I wanted to make sure that I didn't sacrifice the craft for science. You can make the most perfect beer that is technically good, but will it taste any good? And you filter things out too much, or you concentrate on just the alpha acid notions, or the just the alcohol, the best amount of extraction, and all those kinds of things. I think you'll lose a lot of those off flavors that people were when they were first starting to put together alcohol potions. Well back, they were trying to find a way of making alcohol, not beer, and they ended up with beer, and all those happy mistakes gave us our beverages today.
Right.
Oh, it's when you go that more pure route, it's almost like it has a little more soul to it, right? Instead of just being some plain mass produced generic something. So
yeah, I think so too.
And you do this everything on site, Brian? Do you do all the brewing on site?
Yeah, most certainly. Yeah, we do it about, I think I worked it out. I think we're doing about 150,000 liters a year, and that's enough. So we're doing like 3 brews a week, except for now with this terrible viral time. But we usually constantly do 3 brews a week, and a few of those are usually end up in the back end. But we have something called a growth cap strategy, which basically means there's a sweet spot where we get to not constantly grow, but we're pretty much the most anti-capitalist people who are using the capitalist system to our advantage. But just make sure that we're not making too much. We take care of our shelter, our food, our employees, our innovation, and everything. And then anything else, if we wanted to make any more beer than that, it would just be ego-driven, really. We don't really need to do that much. And it's nice that we live on a farm because we can feed ourselves in that as well. So if I don't feel brewing, it's not getting done.
Wow.
I respect the hell out of that, Brian. I got to tell you that. That's, that I don't think that's the normal person's reaction to that, right? I think that a lot of people, if you see the opportunity to brew more and to make more money and to take it to the next level, but decide against it because it seems like it's egotistical, it's a different approach. I don't think that's normal.
No. And quite happy to be abnormal.
And I'm not saying that, I don't get me wrong on that. I mean, not the norm, rather more than, you know what I mean?
Nice.
Yeah, no, I just like that. I like that whole mentality.
We're quite fanatical about things. We're the thinking person's beer. And we just try to make sure that we really only brew beer to use the microphone to try to get people thinking. And also, too, we find that with activism and that, a lot of things, especially environmentalism. It's always fear driven, and we want to push people through inspiration and example instead. And
That's fantastic.
Story.
Yeah,
It's a better path, definitely.
The way Daniel Ortega says, you got to have something after the revolution to do something you're working towards, not just revolution for the sake of fighting. You got to make sure you have a master plan after it.
Yeah.
And have some joy and peace at the end, hopefully.
Yeah. And that's the reason why we do the tours as well, just to make sure we can show them things like with the hops and everything. We put out we figured out how to do it on this scale, and then we put out a manual that's downloadable free on our website, or you can give us some money so we can print it out and send it to you. But it's essentially to make sure that people can hit the ground running and get working on stuff. And we already have jobs, so we don't have to make money selling proprietary knowledge or keeping that hidden or everything. We make sure that people are doing the stuff and making sure that they can make a difference here and now.
So is this more about a closed economy, understanding how to create something within like a sustainable system, or is this more geared towards the brewing side of things?
I would say both, and how I'd answer it is that it's not supposed to be closed economy. We really do think about working within community.
Right.
And
right.
That's important to us. We don't want to become self-sustainable. We want to make sure that we're not totally dependent on people, but we do want to be dependent on certain people within the grand village of the scheme. We want to say, well, everybody has a place in this village to help each other out and make sure that we can, we're really against the lone wolf kind of idea that we are going to do it ourselves. We do depend on community, and they do depend on us, and we're the friendly neighborhood brewer in that community, right? We provide a function. We're not money traders or anything like that, or we don't hoard our resources. We make sure that we share and only take our share, like water. And that's part of the reason why we're not constantly growing as well, because we don't want the abhorrent idea of monopoly to rear its ugly head in our direction.
Fair enough.
Wow. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So then I'm just going to follow that up with another question. Did you find this, I mean, as far as being like a brewer, did it sort of help this idea of, being an integral part of the community, first of all, but also, like I said, I read through the website and you mentioned footprint. Was brewing something that really helped you to sort of exercise this notion, or was this there before the brewing?
It was before, and it certainly has its legs in that kind of concept for sure.
Yeah.
I had a notion, but I can't remember exactly what I was going to say. I think that. Have to pass on that question.
I'm getting deep. I'm 3 beers in. I'm sorry.
Hey, Brian, tell us about Free for All.
Oh, Free for All, right. So I think in context that you're wanting me to speak to is I just had my 30th anniversary with my wife yesterday. And
congratulations.
Yeah.
It's just amazing. I'm sure maybe you guys aren't even that old yet. I don't have an idea. But
we're all pretty much 40.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. We're all in our 40s.
Okay. So yeah, I invited her to our band, one of our gigs, Free for All, the Twilight Zone in Vancouver, Gastown at the time. And so we played there. It was kind of funny because I've been writing short stories lately, and one of the stories I put together is an event that happened at the Twilight Zone. Friend of mine, Greg, who was our driver here, passed away. just about, I'm going to say about 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, I saw that on the news. So sorry to hear that, because I read all about it. I had no idea.
Yeah, so he had an underground. We had a few things. We had a couple of booze cans together, but he had one called the Watt Gallery that was in Gastown. And after the gig, myself and Rebecca went there, and so I went out to go get some drinks for my newfound love, and she was sitting there waiting, and then one of my housemates at the time started chatting her up, and I says, "Well, this cannot stand," and so I basically freed her from the clutches of the evil interloper, and I basically picked up her chair with her upon it and moved her to a different table.
And the rest is history.
Yeah, she's always telling that story too, because she thought it's pretty hot. So
it's a good one, though. Yeah, it's a good one. Yeah. That's awesome.
So yeah, we had nachos last night for, I think it's somebody said it was pearls for the 30th anniversary, but I think it's nachos. Like, it really is.
Hell yeah.
No question. So okay, so what
that's
band?
One of my bands.
Yeah, that was one of your bands, hey?
Yeah, I had the first really well known was we went on tours across Canada and that as well with the Immoral Minority.
Yeah, I saw that too. I looked that up too.
So
Yeah.
The thing is, we were going to be Immoral Majority, but we're only 3 people, so do the math. We can't really call ourselves.
It's a great band name, though.
Yeah, it was a great. I guess we were billed as the fastest band in Van when we were the bass there.
Oh, that's awesome!
Fuck yeah, awesome.
Yeah,
fantastic.
And it's actually my brother was downloading some stuff, so you can see a really baby-faced kind of video at the waterfront in just East Vancouver. I think it's 1985, and we played there, and there's a couple of ones, and also we had something called Neo Morte, where there's a video on there too. It's on Rock Against Prisons at Crab Beach, and so we played lots of gigs and that. So
you guys send me the links. I think I found the Free for All live at the Twilight Zone, Vancouver, BC, right? That's the one. Yeah. Okay. I found that one. I passed it on to the guys too. It's it's badass right from the beginning. It's fantastic. Like, it's kind of even tough to believe. You said it was 91. Is that right?
91.
91. Yeah. It's tough to believe that that's even 91. Like it kind of looks like it happened last week almost, but fresh. Like it kind of stands up, I guess, that way. Right. But, so was this band before, Immoral Minority?
No, Immoral Minority was in 1980. Well, it started.
Oh, sorry, right. You said 85. That's right.
Yeah, that was that gig, and so I think it was 1984 we started.
Okay.
But that video was from then as well, and it was kind of nice. We had a great time going across Canada and played in Cafe Alternative and in the Ottawa University basement with SNFU, and we were on their tour roster for the eastern part of Canada, and then hooked up with Detox from LA and played the rest of Canada, and this brilliant tete-a-tete food bank or food fight on the road with similar vans. We kept on throwing all the condiments on their van and we et cetera. It was just it was a lot of fun.
Spraying the Grey Poupon on somebody else's van.
Yeah. Well, those guys had it organized because they had a built-in place to put their equipment and stuff like that, and we didn't. We just slept on top for a drum kit and stuff and whatever, stuffed ourselves in on top of all the equipment and that. But they had it down. They were seasoned travelers for sure. Yeah.
What happened to Immoral Minority then? What led to the demise?
I wrote a song about it actually. It's basically my drummer's dad broke up the band through, and he basically said, well, look, you take this education and I'm going to offer you and go to Guelph, and it's a one-time deal only. And they said, and so he had to leave, and he was the best drummer. He was actually drummer and singer and songwriter as well. He was really quite good. And
damn drummers.
Yeah. Just amazing. I couldn't believe that he was actually able to sing and play the drums at the same time, but he did it.
Levon Helm style.
Yeah.
The band, yeah.
Yeah, well, the Neo Morte band was, we said we were the armed wing of Def Leppard, right?
Dane's a big Def Leppard fan, so he appreciates that.
Yeah, I got no shame in that.
No, it's all good. It's just like somebody has to be the right-hand man, as it were.
Oh,
Going back to the what has 9 arms and sucks.
That's right. Yeah.
So you're still playing today?
I have a bass and all the accoutrements, and we did a reunion tour a couple of years ago up at the farm, because we have a bunch of bands come play at the farm as well. And DOA is supposed to still, if everything goes according to the master plan, they're supposed to be here July 10th this year, but they've played our place a couple of times with the Real McGillicuddies, and I was talking to Paul McKenzie the other day too, and
wow,
and so hopefully they'll come up and play this year as well if this COVID thing stops. But yeah, the Rebel Spell played here before, and a whole bunch of other bands and that, and so we obviously practiced and made sure that we played as well as we did back then, which was kind of okay.
Yeah. How long between when you guys broke up and when the reunion was? How long was that?
Fuck, I think it was about 10 years.
Wow.
The original band, that is.
Yeah.
And yeah, so, but we were thinking about, I was just talking to my brother the other day, and he said he was going to do some rewrites on some of the Free For All songs, because they're pretty much, they're pretty good, except they're really, they're not very professional, and the time changes and everything. It seems to go bang, bang, right? Instead of it going, okay, there should be a bridge or something there. There should be something. But it just ends up sounding kind of experimental, and I think it's quite reasonable. But, well, there you go.
No rules to punk.
Yeah.
Amen.
True.
Did you guys ever play with No Means No or that sort of a scene, or?
Fuck, No Means No. So No Means No, they're the only band in Vancouver with a manager at the time. So they scooped all the really good gigs all the time.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So something, and we always thought of them as college guys, and they were kind of a less of an edge than a lot of us. Although, they put together okay music for sure. And they are reasonable guys for sure. So no, I never played with them. We actually, on the nights that they were playing, we had, retaliation gigs across town. And they said, look, you'd probably be able to dance that kind of music, but not ours.
Was the scene good then, Brian? Was it
amazing?
Yeah, it was jumping then, hey?
Yeah, it's really, when people talk about the 80s in pop culture, they always, I don't know where their fucking heads are at, because they missed out on a huge subculture that happened, especially in the Lower Mainland. I kid you not, there was easily 20 bands, independent bands, and there's Bill of Rights, House Commons, there's Shanghai Dog.
Yeah, and the venues to support those bands too, right?
Yeah.
And then there was Luxury Bob's and John Barty's and the Waterfront and Twilight Zone, and there's a place before the Nigel's Speakeasy. It was called the Archimedes Club at that time, and then it became the Alibi Room afterwards. But we played at that place before it became the Alibi Room. And yeah, it was a huge scene. There was all the other places like Wendy 13 had operational stuff, and that was actually the early 90s as well. So yeah, I think it was a really good time to be alive, and thank God, because when disco was abusing us with their 4/4 misogynist type fucking music, hide the razor blades, right? But punk rock saved our lives, right?
There you go.
Was there a certain band or a specific band that stood out to you in that, not necessarily the Vancouver scene, but influenced you in punk, like a Cro-Mags or that sort of a deal?
Yeah. There's a bunch of them. I mean, obviously Black Flag and DKs, and of course, my favorite band is Bad Religion, and they're still on. And they're people's grandfathers, right? And they're just still
kidding.
Putting it together. And, they got the wheelchair accessible gigs, of course, right? Because some of their following and stuff have to get there with walkers and all.
Oh, yeah. I saw those guys in like the Tipton Hockey Arena one time, like in Edmonton. It was just like the littlest hockey arena. And I saw them there, and they were great. They were fantastic.
Yeah. They always put on a good show. And then, of course, Dropkick Murphys and stuff like that later on.
Beauty.
Was very good. And I would like those because they seem to be doing the Irish thing a good nod.
It's kind of their deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love it.
So you want to talk about beer more?
Yeah. Yeah, we're down with anything, man. We jump all over the place on this thing. We kind of go everywhere. So I wanted to talk music too.
I'll just make it up.
Yeah. No, let's talk more beer. That sounds good. What else? What's going on there right now as far as COVID rules and what are you guys? Can you still pick up growlers, and how do people get the product and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, the COVID's been really hard on us because we're primarily a draft organization, and so if people can't have people in their bums in the pubs and restaurants, we can't sell them beer because they're going to be sitting on stuff. We actually had to pay for a whole bunch, and I'm sure a lot of breweries didn't do this, but basically we bought back beer that people just had sitting in their coolers because they couldn't sell it. And, so we just did the deed and made sure that they weren't out of pocket and that, right? And I think it helped out with keeping people loyal to what we're putting out there. So we still have tours and maximum 6 people, same bubble, all that language, right? But we do sell growlers. We do have growler point drops for them as well. Like we'll go down to Kelowna every couple of weeks and meet people at one of the other farmers that we know, the organic farmers. And so we'll get pre-orders and bring them down. And then we also go every couple of weeks to Kamloops and do the same thing and drop it off at the Staples parking lot kind of thing. And just nice and backhander, as it were, off the side. And then we're going to be doing the Sorrento's market, I guess, next weekend. Is starting up, and then coming up, it'll be starting every week at the Salmon Arm Organic Market. So and we might even do the Enderby one again this year.
Yeah, the Enderby one's big, and so is that Sorrento one too. Every time I drive past it, I'm surprised at how large it is. Like there's quite a few booths.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah,
and I was able to talk him into. I'm on the board there, and I talked him into letting me sell glassware and t-shirts there as well, which is something that usually doesn't happen. But because they wanted to make sure that we got some swank out there that we could just to help us out, basically. But because it's on my own artwork, right? So
yeah, and we wanted to ask you about that too, about the artwork and where you came up with that, and where that came from.
Well, I've been an artist before I was a brewer, and I actually went to Capilano College for a couple of years for the fine arts program and communication and political science there, and linguistics. And so I was able to take all those how to put things together, and I just was really the idea with the artwork was to make sure that I was putting a nice piece of art on people. Then later on, they'd figure out it was a beer. It's not a beer T-shirt; it's a piece of art, but it masquerade as a bit of a beer T-shirt as well. So people were even people who are not drinking beer want to get the T-shirts and wear it.
Yeah, you definitely pulled it off. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And is that the original? Like, has that changed? Has that look changed over the years since you opened, or is that like the way it's always
I think
been?
I'm getting crisper with it.
Yeah.
But not just understanding the technology and how to get it on the computer. I still do all the hand drawing and everything. I used to actually do the amber cut things with silk screens before, and that was it's totally unheard of. And people look at me like I've got a couple of different heads when I talk about that kind of thing. It's just how would you do every single color screen in amber cut, and how do you get that registration properly and all that stuff, right? And the answer is most people don't. And we actually use this guy named Zelko from Hacker Media in Richmond, because he does all the Bad Religion shirts and NoFX and all these other things. But he has brilliant registration. He's an artist, craftsman unto himself. And so we if you ever need to get any T-shirts done, that's your man.
That's good to know.
Good to know. Good to know. Definitely.
That's awesome.
So, still having fun with it. I'm coming up with a new design, and we were trying not to resell our 20th anniversary shirts, so the glassware, and but people have convinced us that they're going to buy a whole shipment. So, okay, we'll do it again. And we'll cross out of the 20th and put a number 1 off on the side or something.
That's a great idea.
That's awesome. So you still hand draw all that stuff, hey?
Yeah, and I ink it. And I had some problems with my vision last year, so it was really nutty. It's resolved itself. But basically, I would go to pencil draw it, and then I would go to ink it in. But then I was looking at the pencil lines, and there were 3 of them. There was only supposed to be 1, and I was trying to guess which one I was trying to ink. Right? What a mess. So I just pressed harder, and then just penciled it. It's computer that way.
Just pick one of the 3 and hope you get the right one.
No kidding.
Yeah, exactly. But still do that, and I think it got a little bit more of a more of a hard edge to it, and I think that's kind of important. It's kind of like punk rock, right? You don't want to have too polished.
Yeah, it's awesome, and the fact that you do it too is also fantastic, right? Like, I guess I like the idea of doing it all right there. Like the whole operation is in one spot rather than getting outsourced to all these different locations, right? So, I appreciate that side of it too.
Yeah, we have. Well, it's nice because I don't know if you know this, but we have the original equipment from Horseshoe Bay Brewing. Okay. So they were the first microbrewery in Western Canada.
Yeah.
And they started up in 1981, I believe. And so we have all their old equipment. So when they shut down, it was being brewed under, I guess, they were brewing Bowen Island brewing brews and that as well. And then anyways, we scooped it up from them for a song and brought it up here, and it's all really good old stainless steel. So it's got more nickel content in it, which is better for, I guess, alchemy, easier to clean, easy to, it has a better heat transfers on the calandrias and things like that.
That's awesome.
So
yeah.
Yeah.
it's way better, and it's just, yeah. Oops, there I am. Sorry.
Oh, good.
So when did you?
I know I have the hero light behind me.
When were you able to buy that equipment? Because I would go to that pub, before all of this happened,
Sure.
and I'd grab pints there on my way back to the island, and do a little bit of research, and talk to one of the bartenders, and he told me that story as far as like them being one of the first sort of breweries in that area. When did you get that equipment? They shut down in.
Yeah, they shut down. Geez, I'm trying to remember exactly, because they had a different kind. This other guy had the equipment, and he was brewing with it. It was a really terrible setup. But he was in North Van, and so instead of calling it Horseshoe Bay, we called it the McGill Street Underpass Brewery. And they said, no, we're Horseshoe Bay. And go, no, yeah, that's over that way. That's a little bit more west of you, but in North Vancouver there. So, or no, it's just, I guess it's East Van, just near the Iron Workers Memorial Bridge. So Second Narrows, I guess we were calling it. So I got it. The guy had been brewing with it up until the day that we decided to take it away. And so that was in to 1999.
99. Okay.
And so that's when we started placing everything here. We had to build the place. We bought this place in 1999 in the winter, and then it took us a year to build the thing, and then put some of the polishing touches on it. But we were actually everything was really. We had to change a lot of the equipment. We couldn't use some of it because it was air-cooled fan units and stuff and condensers. And so it was water-cooled. And we couldn't do that because we had a well. And we can't use that much water to do that with, right? And so we had to change it up. And also some of it was geared towards the three-phase. We only had single-phase being up in a rural property. And what made us pick this place is not only the organic community, but the well water itself here was hard, and I can't put together soft world type brews. I have to actually use the hard water to offset the acidic malts that I use in the darker beers that I put together. If I tried to use in soft water, it would make it taste really annoying, and it would be really acrid and have that metallic bite to it, kind of thing.
Interesting. So do you? I mean, you guys obviously spent a lot of time in Vancouver area. There must have been other places that were kind of areas at least that were kind of like Sorrento. So what made you both decide on Sorrento? Like what about it?
It was at the end of our list of places to look at. We had checked out Comox and Courtney, and there was logistics getting malt at the time because remember too, certified organic ingredients wasn't the dish of the day. There was no one doing it. It was really funny because the guys who were putting together the certified organic malt was Cargill at the time.
Oh, yeah.
And then Cargill dropped it because they didn't think there was any future in organics, which I thought was hilarious. But anyways, there were some things we had to be able to get the stuff in the first place, and to get it onto the island from the prairies was just a cumbersome kind of detail. So we decided to come up here because we are also new farmers and that we could use some of their ingredients. And also what we did is we had some meetings with people up and down the west coast of Canada and America. And it was getting all the microbreweries and the brew pubs together. And we proposed that say, well, would you put together one organic beer in your lineups? And everybody put up their hand and they said, we'll do this. So we got all their names. They went to Gambrinus, who's an Armstrong, regular conventional maltster. And he basically took all this new market, and he basically converted half of what he's doing in Gambrinus to certified organic malting. Wow. So we had those kind of adventures that are now, it's easy to get things like hops. I mean, that's the reason why we decided to grow on our own hops, because all of what was available for certified organic hops was all lager variety hops. And so we had to get other conventional hops and grow them out to make them certified organic. And so now we have 17 different varieties of hops that we're growing here, and they're all ale varieties.
Wow.
What a production for a relatively small, company just to take all those extra massive, amazing steps. That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's what keeps us interested, right? And we're used to being activists, so it basically just makes us give a little bit of attention to the commerce side of it, the brewing culture. So we're just kind of pass that along that way.
Definitely.
Right on.
I was wondering also, is there any way, I know you've probably thought about it or avoided it for whatever reason, but how you said that everything for the most part is draft based company wise. What is stopping you, or why would you not go into even like a limited run canning situation where, you've got certain places where, like how you mentioned how you bought back stuff that wasn't selling. Is there a way to make that in a more smaller, accessible size where I can, go to a specific liquor store or whatever in a small town, wherever in BC, and grab a 6-pack or a 12-pack, that kind of thing, just to, keep your stock rolling, right? Instead of dealing with always kegs and always,
Well,
sort of
part of it is footprint. We have a very small place, and we're able to do that on ALR land because it's under 100 square meters, and we can't do industrial sprawl on the property, and everything's intensively put together. Like we say, we have the hops, and we have sheep, and we have pigs and chickens, and then we have a full garden and greenhouse. So there's absolutely no room to throw any canning and things. It's we had to actually make some more or retrofit the space a little bit that we had to make sure that we could do the growlers. We've been pushing the other way, making sure we're trying to figure out a way of getting the LDB to allow growlers to be in cold beer wine stores and things like that, because that would solve that issue. But part of it is we want to make sure that we're having reusable containers only.
Yeah.
And that way we can actually take responsibility for what happens downstream. Like if we're cleaning all these vessels that come back to us, we're going to do it in an environmentally sensitive way. So whatever goes down our drains, which actually don't actually go down our drain at all, it goes down to a holding tank, which is pH balanced and used for irrigation or animal watering. It's all potable water afterwards. It's just warmed up a wee bit right after our process. And that's one thing I wanted to impress upon you, is that most breweries have about a 7-to-1 water to product ratio, and we've gotten it down to 2.
Wow.
And even that stops at the brewery door. After what's happens at the brewery door, as I say, it goes down that drain and it goes into a 400-gallon conditioning tank, and then that'll go on to our back fields to irrigate the sheep fields and things. And so it's a concept of no waste here. We only recycle as a last resort, and that's mostly office things.
That's brilliant. I love it.
So yeah, we're trying to do that, and that's part of the reason why we've resisted canning for so long. I know James. I was talking to James at Storm there, and he was got a $30,000 canning machine, and it's been working really well for him. But he has space to put that together. We just don't have it. And that's the bare bones of it, between inventories of holding on to the cans, and also just the equipment to do it properly instead of a really bad single canner or something. And also really dealing with the LDB is best left alone. We just really don't want to deal with those guys, because what happens with the cans, and that if it doesn't actually sell in their stores, or the bottles don't sell in their stores, you have to buy it back from them. A lot of people don't realize that. But if it gets stale dated, and you have to buy it back from them anyway. So it's basically the same kind of situation we would find ourselves in.
Right. And
also too, you don't want free range beer going into a can.
Yeah, what the hell?
Yeah.
Hey Brian, thanks so much for joining us. This was
absolutely
super interesting. I learned a ton about about so many different things, actually. But yeah, it was great. Sorry, guys. Do you have anything else you kind of wanted to add, or?
No,
I think that's covered everything.
Yeah.
I was just super floored to actually be able to talk to you, and like I said, get to the bottom of just your whole setup and the backhand of God thing, and because it's one of those products that anyone that I've spoke to that has any interest in a stout, I've always pushed it. You have to try this. You have to come to BC. You need to make this happen at some point, because it's well worth the trip. I mean, like I said, I've had more than my share, and it's fantastic, man. It's always been brilliant. So thanks so much for making that, man.
Nice shirt, by the way.
Thank you.
Well, I'm coming for some growlers then. So I'll see you at the farmers market.
Okay, if I'm not there, certainly give it a wink and a nod to Rebecca, because she'll be there if I'm not. And she's also very well media savvy. And so she's quite happy to talk to people. And she's knowledgeable more on the farm side than the brewing side. And very well read, very, very intelligent partner to have. It's lovely.
Yeah, I bet. Well, we'd love to have both of you guys on maybe one time. That would be cool. Just to,
let's do that.
Yeah,
that'd be grand.
Give both sides of it.
It's not my own show, right? I want to make sure that whoever works for me is part of what it is, and they should take credit for all the stuff, because I wouldn't. There's no pretense. I can't do things alone, and I don't want to do things alone. And those guys are golden to me.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Thanks, Brian. It was so nice to meet you.
Thanks, Brian.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, we'll be in contact. We'll talk soon. I'm really glad that I met you.
If someone cancels out at last minute and you need to have somebody who will just jump in. Get in.
You might be a regular.
Deal.
Okay, I can just make up stuff if I don't know it.
Absolutely. This whole thing could have been made up. You could have fooled us. So
baffle with bullshit.
Yeah, exactly.
Took the blue pill.
Yeah, absolutely. That's right.
Cool.
Take it easy.
Okay, thanks guys so much. All the best to you, all right?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
you too.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Okay.